Welcome. We've got with us in the dOrg hot seat today Artem and James from Octant. And Octant is a project by the Golem Foundation. It's a public goods funding project. And honestly, it's hard to roast or put a public goods funding project in the hot seat, because basically what you do is give away money for public goods. So can you explain very briefly what Octant is?
Yeah, as you said, it's a project by Golem Foundation. Golem is a project that has been in the Ethereum ecosystem since 2016. And why that's relevant is they had a really large crowdfunding round. I think it was the third largest in Ethereum history back in 2016. So that generated a substantial amount of ETH. That when Ethereum transitioned over into proof of stake, that presented the Golem Foundation with a really unique opportunity to do something with what was remaining in their ETH treasury. So we staked 100,000 ETH initially. It's a little bit more now, but yeah, we're running these rounds every 90 days to where ETH staking rewards are in part going to our users. They are in part going to a public goods funding matching pool, and users have the option to either keep rewards that they have acquired from locking our native token into our app, but they also have the ability to maybe donate some or possibly all. It's kind of flexible, allows users to mix and match however percentage or whatever percentage they want, but they have the ability to donate some of those rewards to public goods projects that participate in our round. And so when they do that, that leverages the matching pool that I was referencing. So in a round, your money goes a lot further should you choose to donate versus if you keep it for yourself. And so we just concluded our third round. That was a bit of a spicy round that some of your viewers might have some questions around. But nevertheless, yeah, we've run 3 rounds now. We've given away, I think, around $4 to $5 million to public goods projects. And we have some really exciting ideas to think about how to evolve Octant into something that really, really excites me. So maybe we can get into that as well. But yeah, that's the very long-winded, elevator pitch of Octant.
Yeah, amazing, perfect. I remember Golem from the old days. Yes, Golem was one of my favorite projects. It was distributed computation. It was really, really cool. I run Golem nodes back in the day. I tried to put them in dApp node as well, and it failed spectacularly because it never got a product market fit. I wonder if with the AI days, the distributed AI would have been a different time. Maybe it was too early for Golem.
Yeah, they're still alive and well. So they actually have a large portion that compute side of the ecosystem still has
100,000 ETH stake. Oh, of course, they are staked alive and well. Yeah.
Well, they're so Golem Foundation and Golem Factory are two separate entities. So there was a split in 2019 when that treasury had appreciated to such a large amount. They realized they could do a lot more with that treasury than just the initial mission. So we're still very close with Golem Network. But Golem Network, yeah, they're still building that marketplace for computing power, and AI has been a major focus and something that they're getting really close to releasing. Some interesting things around. So you might check them out again because I keep tabs on them, and yeah, they still are alive and well. Got some good things cooking.
Amazing. That's so good to hear. That's I'm super happy, and I will definitely check them out. What is your relationship with Golem then? It's this split happened in 2019, you mentioned. So you've always been part of the foundation?
Yeah. So you're talking about me personally, or
yes, you both. Yeah.
Yeah. So my relationship with the project is that I've been a community member since the project began, and I was one of the loudmouth community members that was probably voicing a lot of the displeasure that you are referring to around Golem never figuring it out. There was a point at the split when Golem Foundation and Golem Factory, decided to divide and conquer, where I was still giving my peace of mind to the woman who runs that PR and marketing agency. Went back and read all the long-winded diatribes that I was writing on their social channels, And then she convinced our leadership to hire me to solve some of the problems that I was constantly complaining about. So that's how I joined the project, was just being this loudmouth person with
That woman was good. If you can't beat them, join them.
yeah, well, they said, yeah, rather than just complaining about a bunch of the stuff, you want to actually try to help fix it. And so, yeah, I decided why not. It was definitely a unique time right around COVID when I had some space on my plate to jump into something new. And then I also was working in the Web3 recruiting space. At least I was transitioning out of that, and we needed a blockchain engineer with technical leadership experience. And so, when was it, Artem? It was in June.
No, I think it was actually earlier. So my story with God is around 3 years ago. I finished working on the Web2 project I was working on before March. I received an email from James writing, "We are building this amazing project. We're taking this 100K ETH and etc." So I went to the website. It looked interesting, but it wasn't convinced right away. So I waited for and then I get back to him, and we got on the call, and we were like, I realized the potential of the project, and then I joined as a tech lead, and I've been there since then. So yeah, that's my story journey going foundation.
All right, nice, perfect. Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back to Octant. So, if I got it right, Octant is a public goods funding mechanism by the Golden Foundation. They staked 100,000 ETH, not bad, and the GLM holders, or the ones that have stake is doing, and these GLM holders can also choose to dedicate these to the public goods funding. So some of the one correct.
And I think that I'd like to run that like every epoch, which is 3 months, right? That's the period where the user rewards are accumulated. Every user is eligible to receive those rewards. Platform and on look at the project that a good part will decide on this big much fall.
Yeah, I think you said the key word to use it. Or, and you guys already know where I'm going. What happens in round 3? In Epoch 3, hardly like a couple of whales had a lot of power, and basically they decided most of the allocation. What do you guys have to say about this?
You want me to tackle that one, Artem? I think I've been talking about it for a while now. Yeah. So when we first built this, the intention behind it was to give a new use case to the GLM token holders. That first and foremost was the intention behind it, and then secondarily, I think if you spend any time listening to the broader ecosystem and what their opinions are about Golem, I think there's a lot of intention from our leadership that we wanted to be able to give back to communities like Ethereum that are very, very good to Golem, but there's a sentiment that Golem really has to give much back to Ethereum. And so there were a lot of limitations, I guess you could say, known limitations with setting up something like what we have, which is a plutocracy. But nevertheless, we thought that those shortcomings are not something that should stall us in at least starting out with this project. So with that in mind, yeah, the first 2 rounds I think went fairly well, but then you saw in this most recent round one of the whales coming into our game and flipping the table over, so to speak, with 9 minutes left, and that really just exposed the limitations of the game, so to speak. I think when you're trying to build a community and it's very clear that there's people that have exponentially more power than you do, then that's not a very exciting game that people really want to value. So it's already been on a roadmap for a while to transition over to quadratic funding, ideally by the round that we're going to be running in July. Just happened to be serendipitous timing, I think, with this whale coming out of nowhere at the end of this round here and flipping the table over, so to speak. But yeah, we understood what the limitations were. They got exposed, unfortunately, in this round. And I think, if anything, that has just lit a fire under our ass to get away from this plutocracy as quickly as we can.
Coin voting is it's a legitimate form of voting, but it's a plutocracy. Yeah, that's also like probably one of the worst of voting if what you're aiming is for any sort of community engagement or whatever.
I think like the point is that, well, obviously the first design with photography and uh, the the game is not really necessarily one way of deciding everything, but at the same time, like they didn't really break the game. They play by the rules. Rules that were created, and in terms of the token voting, it is plutocracy, and um, it's also up to like people to decide to do the donation. So it's more of a self taxation mechanism that works in a democratic way, which gives power to people who are eligible to receive rewards. So it's not purely token voting, but the outcome basically is great. So yeah, in terms of the user products.
Itself next.
Well, the whole idea of Octant is that people they are allowed to claim a certain amount of rewards, right? If I'm allowed to claim 1 ETH, I can or withdraw and go home. Then and what I can do as well is I can apply something called self-taxation, where I decide to take a part of my rewards and donate it to public. So what happens at this moment if I'm taking home 0.9 ETH and that zero point 0.1 ETH donated to public goods, that's the self-taxation part, and that's the part that influences the budget, creates leverage. And so the leverage in previous rounds wrong pretty, so then it's going to be much wrong 4.4 ETH or something. So,
I hate that term so much.
Self-fixation.
Yeah. Who wants to self-tax it? You already get taxed a lot by your government. Why would you want to tax yourself? Yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Good question from Q. Okay, so you said you want to transition to quadratic funding. Are you guys building your quadratic funding stack?
no, we're actually not building the quadratic funding stock tech per se. What we want to do is, in the current app, we're implementing the funding mechanism using the current stack. But over time, we will be transitioning to more decentralized mechanisms using probably some existing protocols or building on top of it. That's the plan.
So right now, what quadratic formula are you going to be using? Like Gitcoin or something, or you are doing your own?
Well, quadratic funding formula is going to be classic, like in the paper, right? So people will choose how much they're going to need. The square root, some square root squared will be applied to that, to the merchant fund plus the individual donations. So we're going to implement it on our current app called V1, right? And over time, we're going to implement that in a decentralized way using existing protocols. So we are protocols in Apollo. We have been investing for a while now. So a lot of these conversations have been happening for months now. We improve Octant, how to decentralize Octant. So it's not something that started right after this book. I hope that answers the question, and I'm happy to elaborate more.
Yeah, no, good. Thank you. You mentioned that there are things coming up, James, and fair to give us a sneak peek on what this is.
Yeah. Well, Artem, do you mind if I talk a little bit about V2?
Sure, go for it.
I'm already sharing it with it in our community, so I think it's worthwhile here. So I think one of the problems that we've had beyond the plutocracy in the game is that I think in a lot of ways donations, at least in our community, have been a pretty hard sell. GLM token holders, because the ones that are still around anyway, are definitely interested in returns on their capital. The majority of our tokens, when they vote, are interested in keeping the majority of the rewards, if not all of the rewards for themselves. So they're interested in the APR, they're interested in what's coming back to them. And so,
It's very interrupted here. Does
yeah.
that make GLM kind of like a very clear security? Like, is that it's a proxy to the rewards of what's been staked by the foundation?
I mean, the security, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, of course, it's not a security, but doing something else, I can get GLM as a proxy to the reward. Exactly. No, of course it's not. And I apologize. Anyway, so maybe it was going to say, but could it be that a lot of GLM holders see it as a proxy to the rewards that the foundation has staked?
Well, Art, what do you think about that? Do you have a thought? I don't
Well,
think so.
I mean, it's a gating mechanism, right? And it's a gating mechanism because Golden Foundation at the time, Gorm Factory raised funds to build a product, and the community kind of should have a say how those rewards are distributed, right? So what we're trying to do, we're balancing those both rewarding users in the GLM community, but also funding public goods projects. And on top of that, we have been thinking a lot and hard how to improve the system, how to scale the system. And James mentioned is what we have mostly in the space is donation-based public goods funding mechanisms. What Octant is more of a sustainable public goods funding mechanism, right? It's not scaled a lot yet. I mean, we have 100K, but it works the way it works right now. But the thing is, if Ethereum will run forever, we will be funding public goods forever. So the question is, how do we make the system better? How do we ensure that more public goods projects are funded? How do we quality of distribution, voting mechanisms, and how do we expand capital flows into Octant? So these are the questions we're working on recently, and there are a lot of exciting ideas floating around Octant right now, and I'm really excited about it.
Gotcha. Yeah. We've got Nick with some questions for you guys.
Really happy I
I don't know
got
if you-
one. So I'm not a developer. So.
Well, there's a lawyer question coming up, so no more like a jurisdictional or regulatory question coming up. With all of this, how does Octant navigate the regulatory landscape, especially like with staking and rewards distribution, everything that we're talking about, like public goods funding, it's a great part of it, but like, how is it built behind to sort of like make it foolproof?
Well, we're a Swiss entity, and we have legal counsel that is very, very fluent with what we can and can't do. Just today, we were discussing an idea that we have around how we can channel like the degenerate PMLO's motivation in terms of funding public goods. And our idea around that is beginning to run a lottery that, or sorry, not a lottery, a raffle that utilizes somewhat of a weighted function of what you've donated to determine who wins. And so going back and forth on this, I mean, there's been a long conversation about what is allowed and what isn't allowed in Swiss law. And so I can guarantee you that's how we're navigating everything from state to everything else is through legal counsel that is definitely fine-tuned with how everything operates in the country.
Is there, are you worried that some other countries that are not Switzerland can overreach or can try to, like, I don't know, like, if you have, I'm thinking about the US basically, which is probably the most overreaching country of sort of regulation, and they can try to see Golan as a particular type of token. Are you banning US citizens from participating in geofencing? Are you what type of way? Sorry.
We looked into all of that. No, because 85% of our token was distributed on day one, and that happened all the way back in 2016. And so we've had long discussions about that, and we're really, really confident that we have, I guess, rode out through a long enough length of time that any kind of legal action that the U.S. government would maybe want to take on us. Yeah, we're pretty confident we're in here now.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's talk about nice things now. Have you got any? Success stories or any like case studies of projects that have been funded through Octant that highlight the impact that Octant's having?
Yeah, I mean, Artem, I'll let you answer it next. I'm going to take the easy one. So Protocol Guild has been our top recipient since we've started, and Octant, I think, is hovering somewhere right around number 8 or number 9 in the largest donors to Protocol Guild. So some of those ones at the top are really, really high, and it'll take us a while to get there. But yeah, I think Protocol Guild is a really easy one for our community to resonate with, because without the work that's going on with Ethereum, Golem wouldn't really have much to stand on there. So yeah, that's a low hanging fruit answer. But Artem, I'll pass that to you. I'm sure you have insight on some other ones.
Well, I think I'd like to highlight a couple of points. The first one is we have this project like Hypersource Foundation and Open Source Observer, and well, other public goods funding projects as well. Capital to go on in their mission is really inspiring for us. Back in September, we did a public goods funding residency in Berlin for a month, where we brought a lot of different builders along with Funding the Commons and some other projects. And I'd just like to highlight that a lot of the recipients of our funding are some of those people. Talk to those people, look them in the eye, we understand how they move the public funding system and infrastructure forward, right? They might not provide you directly results or metrics, but there is work that's being done there. And on top of this, for example, projects like Drips is very interesting collaboration where we decided what kind of dependencies are important for our project, what kind of open source dependencies are important. And Drips decided to funnel the funds that we distributed from Octant to those dependencies, which creates like a pipeline, right, of reciprocation in a way. So we're using this dependencies to fund Drip, which funds our dependencies, and it goes on and on and on. So the projects like this are good examples of complementary approach and creating impact. And one project that is outside of Web3 that we haven't funded since Epoch 1 is dOrg project. And we were just in San Francisco Funding Commons Conference a couple of weeks ago, where we had this conversation with Script, the Web2 projects, head of marketing, I think, dOrg. And we received a lot of feedback from this Web2 project that it's very slow process to make sure that Web2 is happy to accept Web3 money in a way, but we get in there in cases like this when we fund dOrg, they're helping to create adoption. So that's very interesting for us.
All right, yeah, that's, I mean, the whole Drips, well, dOrg Foundation, of course, I mean, we should use it more. There are some decentralized alternatives coming up, like Hopper, NIM, but dOrg have been doing so much good for privacy, and it's like, for sure, we should be funding this. And then the whole idea with Drips, that's incredible. Like that's like you use you fund Drips that it funds the dependencies that allow you to keep your tech stack. That's pretty good. Really nice. So, how does one apply to become a recipient of this?
And I can link the documentation that walks people through this in the chat here. But the basic idea is just to What's that?
Right, yes, please. We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have some very basic exclusion criteria for profit projects that are heavily VC backed. If there's data that isn't ethical, those are things that generally exclude projects. But otherwise, we're pretty open and broad in terms of what we would consider an eligible public good. So if you feel that you fall within this criteria, which you can read about that I just shared, all you need to do is to submit a form to the person who handles those applications. And once a little back and forth between the submitting project and that person, get a little more clear on everything and make sure it's all good to go, then you are sending that information into our Discord, and so you're allowing them the community to view your project and maybe ask some questions there, because ultimately it's the community that is voting on all this stuff. Because Octant only has a certain amount of spaces for each round, that provides limited capacity. We generally have more projects applying than we do spaces. So what we've been doing up until this point has been holding a snapshot vote to see which out of the many projects that are applying are most strongly signaled via the community. And if you make it through on that snapshot vote, then you're participating in the next round. So a little bit of comms in the beginning, and then that snapshot vote. There you're in the round. I'll say this is that we've had a situation where projects that have participated in previous rounds have been rolling over automatically in the next rounds if they've been given funding, and we're not quite sure that this is the best model moving forward. I'm really thinking long and hard how we can reduce capture or collusion within people who are locking our token and just siphoning off funds directly just for one project. So we're thinking long and hard about how we might be able to run with themes. There's definitely some themes that I think kind of got cut off from Optimism's recent decision to move away from public goods and more so just to promote impact on the Optimism collective. So we're thinking about a climate theme, an education theme, things like this, to where I think there's definitely some sectors of the ecosystem that could really be served well by Octant, while also solving some of these really scale economic impacts that I'm referring to. So I'm saying all that in a long-winded way to say that things might be changing in the future. But for our upcoming round in July, things are going to be as they have in the past. So feel free to
What time where people should apply for it?
be opening up our window for applications. I think in the next week or two. I have to go back and look at the date, but it's definitely going to be opening up within 2 weeks. So yeah, have a read over that information about what's eligible, and then jump into our Discord if you have any questions. Myself or Mateus are always there to answer questions.
Beautiful. Okay, perfect. I think, so for those who want to apply, we will have a link in the show notes with this in a couple of weeks. That's going to be middle of May, second half of May, 2024. And the other thing you should have in mind is the address of the whales that can sway your vote for you. And apart from this, so it's going to be without funding, so it's not going to be valid anymore. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Anything else that you guys want to add? Very short.
I mean, we've kind of teased a lot of this stuff already. So moving away from donations to alternative types of funding, which Carl Cervone just wrote a really interesting article. I can link that as well. Really great read. And then also, stay tuned maybe for that raffle. We're trying to think pretty big here about how we can motivate the degenerate gambler for funding public goods, and we're pretty confident that we can whip up something around that. So if you ever have any questions about Octant or just want to jam on governance primitives or other ideas that you have, please jump into the Discord. We're always happy to have conversations around whatever interests you.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. Amazing chat with you. Learned a lot about public goods funding, what Golden is doing now, separation with the foundation, how to use 2016 money for good, So yeah, really appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you in the next round in July.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cool. We're done. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys.